Good morning, everyone. All right, so here are two SAT problems for you to practice. All right, so the first one, you should have an idea what to do. This is what we've been learning. So there are x's on both sides, so that's not helpful. So I distributed, let's see if I have room here, x to the fifth minus, I'm at a really bad angle, 5x to the third equals negative 4x. And then I'm going to move the 4x to the other side. So we get x to the fifth minus 5x to the third plus 4x equals 0. Now, if you notice, there is a GCF of x. I'm going to pull that one out. I'm going to go down here. So I have x times x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 4. Now, we've done similar ones to these with dots, but not this one in particular. So if you notice, this is 3 terms. We are looking for numbers that multiply to 4 combined to negative 5. So it's 2 and 2. But because it's an x to the fourth, we're going to do x squared minus equals 0. So now the question did say, though, x has to be greater than 0. So we have x equals 0, which doesn't count. X squared minus 2 equals 0. That means x squared equals 2. So x equals the square root of 2. So this one must be a decimal solution that they allowed for decimals. So you would put that in your calculator and put it in the grid. All right, the next one. This is something that we went over. This was on your quiz for the summer. So GCF. My GCF is 36. So when I do that, I'm going to cancel as I distribute. So 9 goes into 36 4 times. 7 times 4 is 28x. All right, 9 into 36 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16x. Equals 9 plus 12 into 36 is 3 times 5 is 15. So we get 12x equals 24, x equals 2. So those are the two SAT questions. All right, so I want you to pause the video. This is just review of what we've been working on. All right, so we need to factor and solve. So this one, let's see, 7x. You can either use slide or do this in your head. It's up to you. I'm going to do it in my head because I can figure it out. 2 and 2. I need a positive 14. 7 times 2 is 14. Minus 2 is 12. Equals 0. So then I set each of these equal to 0. Oops. 7x equals 2. So x is 2 over 7. And then x equals negative 2, right? Because x plus 2 equals 0. This next one, we need to get 0 on one side. So I'm going to subtract the 1. 25x squared minus 1 equals 0. That's a dots. 5x plus 1, 5x minus 1 equals 0. So then we set those equal to 0. 5x plus 1 equals 0. So x is negative 1/5. And 5x minus 1 equals 0. So x is positive 1/5. All right, last one on this page. All right, so we have x to the fourth minus 16. So we did go over factoring that. So it's x squared. It's a dots, so it's plus 4 minus 4. But we're not quite done. Remember, a plus doesn't factor. X squared minus 4 is x plus 2, x minus 2. And then we set each of those equal to 0. Now, when we try to set x squared plus 4 equal to 0, x squared equals negative 4. Do you know a negative number? Do you know a perfect square that goes to a negative number? No, that's no, there's no solution there. There's no real solution. And then the other ones, x plus 2 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. All right, so we end up with just two answers, 2 and -2. And that's it. All right, one more where we're solving to factor. Pause the video and do these on your own. So let's see, number 4, we have a GCF of 2x. I'm going to factor that out. So I get x squared minus 3x minus 54. So then we have 2x, and then I'm going to factor. 54 is 6 and 9, so x minus 9, x plus 6, so that I have a -3. Set each of, so now I'm going to have 3 answers. X equals 0, x equals 9, and x equals -6. Done. All right, this one we need, again, we need 0 on one side, so I'm going to subtract. 40x squared minus 30x equals 0. I have a GCF, there's 2 terms, x is everywhere, of 10x. I'm left with 4x minus 3. So 10x equals 0. 4x minus 3 equals 0. So when you divide by 10, you get 0. And then over here, I add 3 to both sides. I usually skip this, but I'll just do it out for you. Show as much work as you need. So x is 3 over 4. All right, and then the last one. Again, we have a GCF because notice there's an x here and we have x to the third. Can we divide 149 by anything? No. So we get x 100 minus 49x squared. That is the difference of 2 perfect squares. So x 10 plus 7x, 10 minus 7x. So we get 3 answers. X equals 0, x equals -10 over 7, and x equals 10 over 7. All right, so I want you to pause if you're at home, and I want you to finish worksheets 4 and 5 that I had given you. I had said to do those, so spend today, spend the next like 15-20 minutes working on those 2 worksheets. If you did the evens, do the odds. If you did the odds, you did the evens. I know some people did it already, and then when you're done, come back to the video. All right. Now we're going to get into the other part of this lesson. And this is an introduction to completing what's called completing the square. So what is a perfect square trinomial? A perfect square trinomial is a trinomial that can be written as the square of a binomial. Right. So we know a perfect square is like 9 because 9 can be written as 3 squared. So we're looking at a trinomial that can be written as something like x plus 3 squared. So the example here, my eraser isn't working. There it is. X squared plus 10x plus 25. Because when I factor that, I get x plus 5 times x plus 5, which is x plus 5 quantity squared. So now look at the relationship between these numbers. Right? So we have 25 is a perfect square, right? It's 5 squared. And then how about this middle term? 10, that's double the 5, right? Because when you multiply that out, you get x squared plus 5x plus 5x plus 25. So this number is a perfect square. Perfect square. And this number is double the number that's in the parentheses, right? It's double the 5. Or it's double the square root of the perfect square. That's another way to think about it. All right, so factor these trinomials. So x, pause the video and do it on your own. X minus 7, which ends up being x minus 7 squared. X plus 4 times x plus 4, x plus 4 squared, and since these are all perfect square, my guess is it's going to be 3x plus 7 times 3x plus 7, because this gives us 21, and 21, 21, and 21 gives us 42. All right, so for these top two, like I said before, notice that the C term, 16 and 49, they come from this 4 being squared and that 7 being squared. The middle term, the negative 14, comes from doubling that number. If we double the 4, we get 8. If we double the 7, we get 14. And then we square them, we get the C term, the last term. Okay, you don't have to write this down, but I want you to think about it. So pause the video and go through. If these were perfect square trinomials, what would the stars be? Maybe just write down what you think those are. So remember that this middle term is the double, sorry, I accidentally paused the video. It's double whatever is here. So if that's 12, this number is 6. 6 squared is 36. X minus 18 squared, x squared minus 18x plus. So again, divide by 2. That gives us 9. 9 squared is 81. Half of 20 is 10. 10 squared is 100. The next one, same idea, but now I want to know what would that middle term be. So again, pause the video and see if you can think through this. So we need to figure out what number is multiplying by itself to get 225. So that would be 15. So it would be x minus 15 squared. That middle term is the negative 15 and the negative 15, which gives us negative 30. Oh, I like that I can make it fit inside there. I'm going to change the color though. 121, that's 11, right? The square root of 121 is 11. Then we double the 11 and it's 22. The square root of 1 is 1, double 1, and you get 2. Okay. So it's important to be able to go back and forth with those relationships. All right, what does it mean to complete the square? So that's what the directions are going to be for this lesson. Write a quadratic as a perfect square trinomial, but then we're going to have plus or minus a constant because it's really rare to actually have a perfect square trinomial. So what we end up doing is having some extra number there, okay? All right, so here's our example. Number 1. So we have x squared plus 8x minus 2. The problem is that 2 is wrong, right? What needs to go there? X squared plus 8x. What do we want this number to be? Well, remember from before, we divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then we square it. So we want it to be 16. Because if it's 16, then we have x plus 4 quantity squared, right? Here's the problem. Can we just magically put 16 into that problem? No. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to also subtract 16 because plus 16 minus 16 is 0. And then we can't just ignore that negative 2. So I'm going to bring that negative 2 down. So those two 16s cancel each other out. And then I'm just going to combine the 16 and the 2 together, and it gives me 18. So, and if you think about, if you multiply out the red, right, if we multiply that out, that gives me x squared plus 8x plus 16, and then that 18 will bring me back down to that minus 2 that I'm supposed to have. All right, let's do one more. So the idea here is we want to put the number we actually want into the problem. So what number do I actually want? I don't want 9. What do I need? X squared minus 4x 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So it's really, to make this a perfect square trinomial, I want that number to be a 4. So then I would have x minus 2, which is x minus 2 squared. But again, that's not what I had in the problem, right? I didn't have a 4. So I added 4. So then I have to subtract the 4. And then I can't get rid of that 9. Right? So negative 4 plus 9 is 5. So the extra number is plus 5. Here's another way to think about it. Sometimes when I do these, when I did them when I was a teenager, this is what I did. I thought of it like this. If I multiplied out, I wanted this to be x squared minus 4x plus 4. But this was the wrong number. So what do I have to do to the 4 to get to 9? 4, I have to add on that 5 more, and that would get me back to the 9 there, if that helps. All right, I want you to pause the video and see if you can try these. All right, so again, I'm going to take my 12, divide by 2, that gives me 6. 6 squared is 36. 36 is the C term that I want. So that when I factor this, I get x plus 6 times x plus 6, which is x plus 6 quantity squared. Now I added 36 into the problem. So since I can't just magically add it in, I then also subtract it. And I have to bring back down that negative 13. I can't just ignore the 13. Negative 36 minus 13 is negative 49. And that is our answer. Right, same idea. Take my 30 divided by 2. Notice I am ignoring the sign, because when you square a number, it always becomes positive, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so now it's 225. So x squared minus 30x plus 225. So that's my x minus 15 squared. So then I added 225, so that means I have to subtract 225 and combine that with 9. Or I have 225 and I need to get down to 9. What do I do to get from 225 back down to 9 if I simplified that out? I would have to subtract 200, I can't do math in my head apparently. 225 minus 9 is 216. Wow. I swear I'm good at math. I swear, you guys. And that's what you get when you combine. So you can think of it as 225 minus 216 gives me that 9 up top. All right, last one. These are the tricky ones. So what do you notice about these? We have a coefficient, and you cannot complete the square when x squared has a number in front of it. So you have to divide out the number in front of x squared. So I'm going to divide out the 2. Okay, so now pause the video and just go through and do all the work. So x squared plus 8x, so 8 divided by 4, oh my goodness, 8 divided by 2 is 4, 4 squared is 16. So I get my x plus 4 squared. Again, how do I get from 16 to 3? Right? I have to subtract 13. Or we can think about it as I added 16, I'm subtracting 16 and adding that 3 to it, which gives me negative 13. Now, here's the important part. We just ignored that 2. Now we're going to put the 2 back into the problem. But here's what we need to do. We have to put brackets around all of this. So the parentheses gets multiplied by 2 with just that in front. But then you have to distribute the 2 to the outside number. So that becomes minus 26. And that's really, really important. Don't forget to do that. All right, pause the video and try number 15 on your own. So we're going to divide by -3. And I get x squared minus 24x plus 20. Half of 24 is 12. All right, 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 squared is 144. So x squared minus 24x plus 144. That's x minus 12 squared. I added 144, so I have to subtract 144 and combine that with 20. Or, how are we getting from 144 to 20? I need to subtract 124. Now we're going to put that -3 back into the problem. -3 x minus 12 squared plus, what is that? 12, 4 times is 12, 7, 372. And that is the final answer. All right, worksheet number 6. I also told you we're supposed to do the maze, so I will let you know during our meet how much about the maze activity that I told you were going to do.